Darren and Faith, and we're at the Ulysses S. Grant National Historic Place.
Whatever their pronoun is. Are we filming now?
Yeah.
Oh, this is the one that had all the interactive stuff
I
too
think
for the
so.
kids.
Yeah, right
Yeah,
here.
that's right.
All the interactive stuff, kids can dress up.
It is very kid friendly. I like this place.
I believe that's different coins throughout the years.
They made up a scrapbook of people and places I have known from his point of view. Obviously, he didn't do the scrapbook, but they took places that, from his stories and stuff, and put together a scrapbook of places, of people and places he's known.
Oh, that's cool.
Like this one is Danny
Amen.
Amen, one of my closest friends. He saved me from drowning when we were children growing up in Georgetown, Ohio. A distinguished naval officer during the Civil War, he was a standing invitation for Sunday lunch at my house. And it was Commodore Daniel Amen. And a picture of his schoolhouse.
James Longstreet, the war horse of Robert E. Lee.
Oh, really?
They went to West Point together.
And it says another West Point friend, James Longstreet, and I were both stationed at Jefferson Barracks, and he attended my wedding. They fought opposite sides during the war, and didn't meet again until Appomattox,
Appomattox.
when we immediately renewed our friendship. Appointed surveyor of customs at the Point of New Orleans in 1869, Pete joined the Republican Party. As a result, he faced harsh criticism from former rebels. Well, people have different
Yeah.
change as you get older.
They called him a traitor. Yeah, Buckner, General Buckner of the South, was the general over the Fort Donelson, and he surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant when the Donelson fell.
And see, here it says he was a year behind him at West Point,
Yeah, they were really good friends.
and he helped me return to my family in 1854. Yeah, that's got to be hard. They sitting there fighting against people they went to school with.
And there's Sherman.
But Sherman's the one that nicknamed him Uncle Sam at West Point.
You see, at West Point, his actual middle initial is H, not S.
But after seeing my name listed as U.S.,
Grant.
so they had it in the book wrong.
Yeah.
That happens.
When they did it, they put him down as Ulysses S. Grant, but his real initial was H. So it was actually Ulysses S. or Ulysses H. Grant. But since it was there in the
In the book.
at West Point, they said that's what they had to go by.
Clerical error, and look what it turned into.
So his real middle name was not
Yeah.
S; it was an H.
Emma Dent Casey was 7 in 1843 and the first Dent girl I met. She likes to claim she knows me best because she's known me the longest. She married James Casey, and our families remain close. This is really interesting. And this is where we're at here.
Yeah.
1008 Barton Street, where we moved in 1859 to be close to my business. We had a spare room to accommodate friends and family that came to see us. This one's in Illinois. It says home in Illinois.
That's where he was from. That's probably his family's home. John Rollins, circa 1863.
No, this isn't his family's home. This is our Gallon
Okay.
home in Hill Street in 1860. I just started working at the family leather shop where I met many of the townspeople. Our talks often focused on political turmoil in the country and the threat of war.
Yeah, I forget he had a house in Galena before he moved to here. Eli Parker. I think he was a Native American, or he was a, yeah.
Yeah, he's the Commissioner of Indian Affairs during my presidency. Yep. Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens. They met in 66. Oh, he did after his clever speech about me at the 1879 reunion of the Army of Tennessee, we became close friends.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Ulysses S. Grant used to be the commander over the Army of the Tennessee.
Well, and Samuel Clemens is the one that convinced him to write his biography.
His biography. But Samuel Clemens also fought in the Civil War, and then
he didn't last very long in the
and
Civil
basically
War.
deserted.
Yeah, he didn't last very long. Ulysses Grant's view on equality and justice evolved throughout his life, which, okay, we all do. Recognizing that prejudice was a result of ignorance and fear, Grant believed education was the only means to eradicate this. Until that goal could be achieved, it was the responsibility of federal, state, and local governments to ensure equal treatment and opportunity for all citizens under the law. I wonder what he would think if he saw us now.
Probably flip a lid.
I don't know. He might be sad that we're still haven't made as much progress as we should.
Oh, you're fine. I just had to keep your son out of the video. I think we stalled in the 1970s.
Some of it I think we tried to change too fast.
Probably why it didn't stick very well. Why we're still struggling today.
It's a generation thing. You gotta
Yeah.
change generation by generation. It takes time, unfortunately. You can't just flip a switch.
The personal memoirs of Ulysses S. Grant.
It's
That's
the
the people.
salesman.
The
Yeah.
people that ordered them.
Yeah, only 100 years ago. Do you have any other guesses? Who didn't eat as much as we did? Hey, Anderson.
Ulysses S. Grant's Brigadier General uniform.
He wasn't very tall. But then most men weren't back then, were they?
Yeah, back then if you were over 6 foot, you were considered extremely tall. I think he was only like 5'8". Could be wrong. I'd have to look up that. Back then, yeah, if they were over, I think if I'm not mistaken, if they're over 5'7", they were considered tall.
I wonder if you study genetics, why we. Because it does seem like the kids nowadays are getting taller and taller.
They say that over time we do evolve, but I think that's the evolution that not we did we evolve from a monkey.
No, not that part of it, but I'm wondering if you study the science of it and genetics of it.
There's his bars, his 3-star bars. He was promoted to lieutenant general. I think we do evolve it over time. Like we get taller
We adapt to our environment.
or we get dumber.
Nowadays it seems like you said, we're getting dumber.
That's what it seems like. They can't get along with anybody.
Honestly, I think that's more media than it is honestly what people are really like.
True. As a congressional medal was ordered to be struck by Congress in honor of General Grant's victory at Vicksburg, Mississippi. This is the 19th century bronze duplicate of the solid gold medal awarded to Grant. These are Grant's promoted to the rank of Lieutenant General on March 10th, 1864. With Grant's promotion came new uniform insignias. The 3-star soldier board you see in this display case comes from an Army uniform Grant wore during the war in 1864 and 1865. Yeah, one of his nicknames was Butcher because everybody believed that he didn't care about his men; he just cared about the victory. Because he sent his guys in and he didn't care. They think he didn't care about the lives of his soldiers. See, the Civil War resulted in 620,000 lives lost. But the problem with that is, Grant didn't become the commander until basically the last year of the war. So
Yeah,
that can't
and
be really based on him.
As a leader with something like that,
Yeah.
I don't know, that's a hard one.
And he-
Because as a leader, you have to have
You
kind
got-
of like a disconnect at some point, otherwise you wouldn't be able to lead.
I would think so. You can't win battles by worrying about the.
Or you do, but you have to be able to disconnect, or was it compartmentalize,
Yeah.
so that you can make those type of decisions.
And I do believe that the Grant being drunk and stuff that I've read is all a myth. He got found drunk one time on duty, and it stuck with him ever since.
That's all it takes.
And also, is based on, depends on what stories you read about him, which one's true and which ones are not. Because there's a story that states that he was drunk at the Battle of Shiloh. It was the reason why the North lost that battle. They said he wasn't in the spot he should have been because he was drunk.
Well, that might be true. It might not be. Maybe it's just using him as a scapegoat.
Yeah.
You don't know.
We don't know. We weren't there, so we just go by what historians tell us. Some say he was, and some say he wasn't. It just depends on who liked him and who didn't.
Yeah.
Isn't that sad though that that's what it comes down to for our personal histories? It depends on who you're talking to and
Yeah.
that perspective. Whether it's the truth or not.
This bowl and bowl fragment, both excavated from the Winter Kitchen at Whitehaven, were used by enslaved African Americans in the service of Dent and the Grant families. Seed planter. This is a carriage that represented could have been something that General Ulysses S. Grant would have used. You all can come here and take your pictures as Miss Grant or Ulysses himself. I can't get my wife to stick her head in there. Yep.
Last time we were here, they said they painted the color of the house because they found paint samples in, I think, the basement when they were
Yeah, somewhere in there.
when they were what's that word? Refurbishing it.
Yeah.
And so they believe this is the actual color of the house, as close as they could get to it. Or is it just the lighting this time of year?
It could be the lighting. Because I can't remember what time of year we.
I was just thinking of that too. I don't remember. And it is a bright sunny day today.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how good my picture is going to be because it is so bright. So.
It is also free to take this tour to come see here. It doesn't cost anything. It is the National Park Service, so right now the National Park Service are not charging anything to see their sites. This is writing from Julia Grant. My parents remained in St. Louis about 8 or 10 years, but their family was getting large, and they thought it would best to have a place in the country for the summer months. And they purchased the old homestead, which about 1,000 acres of land south of St. Louis on the Gravois Creek. My mother and father were great favorites in St. Louis, and 10 miles over Very Bad Road was not considered too great an effort for friends to make for a day spent with the Frederick Dent family. Colonel Frederick and Ellen Dent made the property that is named Whitehaven their permanent residence in 1827. Living in the country did not diminish the Dent's social life, as they continued to entertain friends from St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Louisville, and Cincinnati. Additionally, the home was a magnet for friends and schoolmates of the Dents' 7 children. Slaves were responsible for keeping the home clean and the food plentiful, allowing the Dents to provide pleasant atmosphere where those who visited are welcomed as a part of the extended family. We'll see if we can see inside. Doesn't look like it's going to see the reflection. You kind of see a little bit in there.
It definitely, I mean, the creek's pretty far down there, and the other creek's pretty far across the road, so. I mean, we have had some pretty significant floods too, so maybe,
This would be the slave quarters, where the slaves would prepare the meals. See the fireplace.
Yeah,
And this is where the slaves would wash the clothes. Ulysses S. Grant's wife's family were slave owners, as of a lot of Missourians were in the day. They owned slaves. Story is read too that when Ulysses S. Grant and Julia got married, her father gave them a slave. And Ulysses S. Grant went down to the courthouse and freed his slave. I don't remember his name, but Ulysses S. Grant freed his slave, and the slave actually worked for Ulysses S. Grant as a paid employee. And I believe this is a barn. It doesn't say what it is. This building here is ice house and chicken house. This sign says, "I may say that Ulysses S. Grant was very fond of all kinds of domestic animals. One of his pets was a large dog called Leo. I, being the cook of the household, often found it necessary to go out and catch chickens for dinner. Leo always helped me. All I would have to do would be to point out the chicken I wanted Leo, and he would grab it." This would be the chicken house. And I believe down below is where the ice house would be. And I can't remember, the last time we were here, they said that there was something in that door. Oh, I guess you could see the original wood for the axe marks and stuff was.
Mm-hmm. And his office is in there also, where he wrote a lot of his memoirs. I
Yeah.
think he said.
And this was a slave, the summer kitchen
The summer kitchen.
and the wash house.
Yeah, the tour is definitely worth it.
Yes.
It was very interesting. Our guide that we had when we came the first time, it's very informative. I think we talked to him for,
We talked to him forever.
yeah. And we actually got here later in the day.
Yeah. Doesn't look like that tour is very big for this.
There's many people in the parking lot, yeah.
Say it now.
When you put into Google Grant's farm, it'll try to take you to the Budweiser farm, but it's right next to it. So they'll still get you to where you need to go. Just go a little bit farther towards looking for the historical site, not the actual Clydesdales and stuff. But that might be fun to go to sometime too.
Yeah. When you Google it, it'll say temporarily closed. It's not, the museum is not closed. The Clydesdale area is closed.
And that's separate. That's, I think Budweiser owns them. So it's like a paid thing that you go to sometimes. But this is the National Park, the historical site. I think it's like Ulysses S. Grant Historical Site.
Yes, it's run by the National Park Service. This part's open. The part to where the Clydesdale part of the Grant's Farm is closed.
Right, and that's the one that's owned by Budweiser, not by the national parks. But it's fun to drive by and see the Clydesdales.
Yeah, they were standing out there when we drove by.